Welcome everybody to Hive Minds. It's so good to have you here back for another installation of our weekly show hosted by Hive, which is a gift to our community so that we can come together, feel connected across the world, and be inspired by what we're creating to receive wisdom, brilliance, to open our hearts. Every week will be a little bit different. And this week we're so honored to have Jolie Dawn, who is a powerful entrepreneur, just a powerful woman who is a women's leadership coach. She has created an online school for female entrepreneurs to support them in creatively monetizing and marketing their soul-aligned business. So she really helps people get in touch with what they're here to do and then take aligned action so they can create successful businesses and be prosperous in their impactful businesses. She is a writer for Entrepreneur Magazine, the best-selling author of 5 Amazon books. That is awesome. She was awarded San Diego's top 30 under 30 entrepreneurs for her work in creating San Diego's largest female empowerment gatherings. And her passion of many is helping people meet their highest potential and build a life of sovereignty and contribution. And I am so grateful to have you here, Jolie. You really are a powerful woman. And what it seems to me is that you have masterfully figured out how to create, how to make impact, how to have traditional success, and even to work hard. I know that you're not just over there like sitting around. You're working hard, but you're doing it in a way that is energizing and that has you feel alive in your life and like you really are doing the work that you're here to do. So it's so good to have you here. My name is Charlene Parker, and I'm very honored to host this Hive Minds show. So thank you all for being here, and welcome, Jolie.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
Yeah, it's so good. And Brian, who has been hosting our Hive Minds in the past weeks, is also here, and he will be tending to the chat box and making sure that people are muted. And just if you need anything, he'll be responding to everyone in the chat box. So Brian is also here if you've gotten comfortable knowing him as your loving host. So with that, we'll just dive right in. And our show today is about how to create a soul-aligned business. And so let's start with, what does soul-aligned business mean? Like, what do you mean when you say aligned? You know, because it can sound a little esoteric. And I want people to really be able to place themselves and understand like why this is important for them and important for their business.
Yeah, thank you for clearing that up. To me, soul aligned means in recognition of that thing that you came to the planet for, the thing that really sparks passion. You feel it in your heart. You wake up knowing that you are on track and inspired. And it's really more than anything, it's a feeling. It's a way that you feel when you embrace your day, embrace your work. It's the intention that you bring into what you do. And that quality of living is so big and great and turned on that it becomes something that people seek. So there's been a lot of talk lately about finding a business that's in flow versus force, finding your passion, finding your purpose. And today I want everybody to start feeling their own inner genius inside of them and start making small actions towards becoming more soul aligned with their life and their business.
And how does one know whether their business is in alignment or not? Like, what are some of the cues and things we can look for in our lives to see, wow, this is aligned, or maybe some cues that show us that we're not in alignment?
Yeah, there's both internal and external markers. So on the internal, your body will give you the signals. So a feeling of yes, like feeling and owning your yes for your work, feeling that sense of inspired, like you have energy to create, like something bigger than you is pulsing through you. And, you know, there's a lightness, there's an expansion. We know that we are in resistance with our purpose, and that place that would actually be aligned with our highest brilliance when we are feeling that stuck or resistance or questioning and doubt and fear. And then external markers would be things are flowing. Money is flowing, opportunities are flowing to you, life is aligning situations and the right people to show up to support. And so we can take those both internal and external markers to see, like, is this really in flow? Are things happening? Do I feel good in my body? Or is there a resistance, like I'm going upstream?
I'd be curious to know who's here, if you want to write in the chat box, who is an entrepreneur that has their own business already, or who is thinking about moving into entrepreneurship and starting their own business, and also who is really happy working with an organization and doesn't necessarily see them starting their own business, but wants to bring some of these principles into the company or organization that they're working for. If you wanted to share in the chat box so we can know who's here and who we're speaking to. And what I'm excited about for the kind of 4 steps to creating a soul-aligned business that you'll guide us through today is that my understanding is that it can be applied to whether you're just beginning your business or thinking about it, to whether you're years down the line, so that you can really refine the vision and bring an already existing business into more alignment. Is that correct, that it can really be applied at any point?
That's right. No matter what you're doing in your life, you can find more alignment. You can find more of your yes, your inner brilliance, that spark of joy and passion. And that's what I want to awaken in everyone's hearts and spirits today.
So exciting. And before we dive into that, I am curious about, because sometimes we create experiences outside of ourselves based on our own inner struggles or our doubts or things like that. And so how do we know when our business is aligned, but maybe there's something going on inside of us that is creating it? Like, or even if we're working in an organization, when do we get to look at who we're being and how we're relating to it versus the actual structure or business itself? Do you have any ideas on that? Because we might be creating an amazing business, but if we're bringing doubt or fears for no reason or based on past fears and traumas, then we might actually have cues that are mirroring that. And so how do we know when to really look inside of ourselves versus when to look at the business itself?
Yeah. Great point that you bring up. And I've known this for years, and I've seen this through, hundreds and hundreds of entrepreneurs that I've worked with, is your business is a mirror for what's going on with you internally. And the more strength you build, the more courage that you work on, the more you're able to really find that place of emotional center. That's your best possible chance of success in your business. And so I'll actually include a lot of these points in the 4 parts of a soul-aligned business today. But it's true, what you're bringing up is our business, or what we end up doing in our life, whether we're a leader, creator, part of a team, who we're being on the inside is going to show up in that. We've all heard that the quote, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And so how you're being with yourself when you wake up in the morning and the first things that you say to yourself matters. And it's going to translate to who you're being in your work. And how generous you are with other people is going to be a direct correlation how generous you're being with yourself. And so we have this beautiful opportunity for entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs and people that want to, bring new ideas into a company to be the highest, lightest, brightest versions of ourselves, so that can emanate, inspire the people around us, and in turn have more opportunity grow around us.
Thank you for sharing that. And I would love to just pass you the talking stick and dive right into your 4 key steps to creating a soul-aligned business. And community who's here, what I'm really excited about this for is it's going to be interactive. She's going to be asking you questions along the way. So if you have access to a journal or notebook, go ahead and grab that now, or you can pull up a tab on your computer for you to take some notes so that we can really be engaged. Whether you're live or watching this later in the recording, there'll be times for you to chat in the chat box. So if you're able to be on your computer and interact in that way, then definitely share. And I invite you to close other tabs, to turn your phone off or away, and really gift yourself this time to go through this process over the next 40 minutes so that you can really get something of value from this time that you are giving yourself. So with that said, everybody enjoy, and Jolie, take it away.
Great, thank you. I'd love to start with you asking yourself, how do you know when you're soul aligned? What does alignment feel like in your body? What are the internal markers? What are the external markers? Is there a time in your life where you remember your highest alignment? So if you are here with us live, go ahead and put that in the chat. And if you're watching from home on a recording, I'd love for you to take a moment and just write that down. So yeah, what does alignment feel like in your body? How do you know that you're aligned? How do you know that you're on track in alignment with your direction, your passion, your purpose? What is the internal experience? What is the external experience? And I just want to take this macro for a moment and cue this up by saying we're all here on the human experience to feel something. We want so badly to feel and sense our own greatness, to feel that spark of genius within us, that to know that our dreams are possible. And by the way, the word genius comes from the word gene, which comes back to our own DNA. So I treat every human interaction, and especially interactions like this, people wanting to show up and improve themselves, as sacred. Because I know that inside you, inside your DNA, is a particular genius that only you have. And I mean that from the core of my being, that there is something that you can do in your community, in your life, in your current environment and world that would make a huge difference for everybody around you. And I want to bring out that leadership, bring out that soul-aligned brilliance today. So let's see, Ryan says, I'm in alignment because I feel present and happy. I usually can get in alignment through meditation. Sudarshan Kriya. Oh my gosh, that's my favorite Kriya. Quick exercise. Sometimes it takes courage to make the choices I need to get into alignment. Yeah, for sure. I think that we have to be responsible for our own alignment, because the world will have other plans for us. So it truly does take intention and presence and space with yourself to ask the question. And what I do is what I'm doing every single day. Sorry, just a bit of background noise there. Is what I'm doing every single day contributing to more of my alignment, or am I feeling resistance? Am I feeling stuck with something? So let's just take a look for a moment. Finding like what is the situation when we're not in soul alignment. So let me just take a look at my notes here. So a lot of my clients and a lot of people around me, a lot of friends, just a lot of people in my space, they report this feeling, a lack of usefulness. Like, I know that I want to do something and it feels big and it feels important and I want to birth that thing into the world, but where do I go? How do I start? How do I make a difference? And then the doubt of, is what I'm going to bring really matter? Does it really matter? Is what I'm about to do any better than what's already being created right now? So there's an opportunity right now to check your beliefs. What have you been wanting to, what is that secret dream inside of you? Maybe it's right on the surface, maybe it's hidden a little bit, but if you were able to give that a voice and bring that to life and bring that to the center, what would that say? And where would that lead you? I know for me personally, when I was first getting started in just career and in my own purpose, there was such an itchiness inside of me when I was having my awakening and seeing the world. We're all here on this call because we desire to change the world. You wouldn't be here listening to me in this community if you weren't. So I'm going to relate to you like that. And there was a moment when I was waking up and seeing the planet and seeing the state that the planet is in. I mean, some scientists, we have 5 years left to keep the balance of the biosphere before it's irreversible damage. I mean, there's some pretty interesting, difficulties that our planet is up, and we need to change the thinking of mankind to change the planet. And all of us, when we are in our most soul state, we are in alignment with the health of the planet. So for me, I knew my personal vision and my personal soul aligned business was going to be working with the minds of humans and humanity in various different ways. And I had a particular care and desire to help women know their importance and their value. I work with both men and women. I've done a lot of focus on women though, just because there's a lot of genius that is just untapped reach I wanted to bring out. So for you, I want you guys to start tuning into your own experience of how in touch with my own soul's alignment am I? And what is that thing that I want to bring forward? I truly believe in this concept of your inner genius and your inner dream, that if you gave yourself the space to have it be heard, to have it be worked out, that you would be so turned on, life pulsing through you, your days would be filled with inspiration, and you wouldn't be as full of the doubt and the fear and the confusion. So let's start with the first step here, which is number one, the first step to getting a soul aligned business is your own vision. So this requires you to know yourself, to know what you care about. And so for me, like I just kind of shared about, what I cared so deeply about was changing the thinking of humanity. I wanted people to know that we don't have to be a victim to our circumstances, that we can change the story about our past and do something that contributes to the greater whole. So I came into my 20s with a really hard start to being a young adult. When I was 20 years old, my dad made the final choice to commit suicide. And he did that because in 2008 in America, we had a major financial economic collapse. And he couldn't keep it all afloat. He was way over leveraged financially, and the stress of money was too much that he chose to leave. And he left a huge mess in his wake. And there was like hundreds of people impacted by that choice, including all of his clients, his team members, his family. And here I am as a 20-year-old trying to clean up this mess, having multiple conversations with lawyers, trying to deal with my mom who's completely heartbroken. And I knew that I had a choice to make. I could be the victim to my circumstance and be like, poor me, this sucks. Nobody's ever going to get this. Like, what 20-year-old has to deal with their father's suicide and when they're in college? Or, you know, what 20-year-old has to clean up the emotional shatteredness of their mother? And it was so painful and so real and like touched me to the core of my humanity, of my own feeling of brokenness. But I knew that I could take that grief and I could take that tragedy and I could help other people. I didn't want to spend my life thinking that something was wrong with me, or I have this, you know, unhealable scar and this stigma of suicide in my family. I wanted so badly to make something of it. And so that started with hosting live events and workshops and just starting. I didn't even know what I was talking about back then. I was 23 years old when I started my workshop series. And I just wanted to get in front of people and say, if we could create anything, what would we create? Knowing that we're all in this crazy human experience called being incarnated in a human body on planet Earth. What is it that we want to do? We all have a very limited amount of time here. We all know the clock is ticking. We all know that one thing for certain is that there will be a day when this body doesn't exist anymore. What consciousness wants to come through us? What healing do we want to bring to the planet? What do we want to stand for? What is our vision for the health of the world? And that's really important. It's really important to look inside of yourself and get that vision and to be convicted about a vision. So I want to tune in. Yeah, thank you. What is your vision for the health of the world? I just want to tune in with all of you on the call here and I want to ask you, what do you care about? Do you care about the environment? Do you care about our water supply? Do you care about humans? What is it that you personally care about because you see it every day in your life? And this is how we grow on a global scale, is that I don't know what Timothy is up against in his world, or what Joseph is up against, or what you're in the recording listening to this is up against. But I know that you have a story. I know that there's been things that happened in your life where you could be the victim. You could justify being the victim to it for sure. But you've chosen to rise above, to have a victory out of that story. And I know that left you caring about something. Like, I deeply care about freeing people from the chaos that we have here around the world, especially in America, everywhere, around the insanity of what we do to ourselves with money, and how we stress ourselves out with money, and how I watched my father take his life because he couldn't figure out money. So I, every single day of my life, help people claim financial sovereignty, because I know what it can do to somebody. I know what kind of stress I can have in the body. So Daniel, I care most about poverty and people living in extreme poverty. I could cry. Like, that's so real. It's so, so, so real. And if we don't have people like Daniel asking those questions, we're going to be talking about the same things, what, 10, 20, 30 more years? How long do we let one thing go before we change the cycle? Ryan says, I care about there being a world in which everyone has the opportunity to pursue their dreams, right? Not just the lucky few, but everybody would have a chance to have their vision come to life. Everyone would have a platform to be heard, to be understood. Okay, anybody else want to contribute to that? What do you care about? What would you like to see change in the world? I'm going to quote Mac.
There's a couple. Catherine shared one a little bit before. She says intercultural understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And I shared clean water, education, humans feeling deeply connected to themselves, each other, and to all of life, so that all beings feel loved and have their health.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I deeply care about helping humans to feel love fully in their hearts and become open to sharing that joyful love with all. I care about connection and how people connect to themselves. I learn a lot from my kids. I'm getting so emotional reading these. The reason why is because you have a particular key to unlock that in humanity. And because you care, because this is in your heart, because of your own very unique personal circumstances, you have a drive, you have a passion, you have an energy to see something change that only your exact particular set of code has. Okay, a sustainable world where people are working together to achieve, I don't know that acronym, SGDs.
SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals.
Great, thank you. So the first step to creating your soul-aligned business is having your vision and having something you so deeply care about. And here's kind of the paradox. I'm going to quote Macklemore. He's a kind of like pop rap artist here in the West, America. He says, don't try to change the world. Find something that you love and do it every day. Do that for the rest of your life, and eventually the world will change. I think that there's so much emphasis on like change the world and do that thing. And it may look different. It may look like you're a designer and you're contributing to a company. It may look like you're building software for drones for humanitarian disaster relief, who one of my new friends has been working on that. And so it can look so many different ways, and we can get really hung up about like, oh my gosh, soul aligned business. Do I have to like leave what I'm doing now? Like leave this plumbing company or this design company or whatever is the company that you're working on? I wonder if you could just let that be and find that thing inside you that you so deeply care about to change the world. And not from this cliche, like, let's all change the world, but truly it starts with us. Every single one of us on this call, if we fall deeply in love with a cause, if we have a vision for how we want to see change, and we embody that change and we be that change and we inspire that change, that is what's going to light up the planet. I also love this quote from Confucius. It doesn't matter how slow you go as long as you keep moving. I got really neurotic in the beginning of my journey and really stressed out because I started feeling the temporariness of time and started feeling like I was going too slow and moving too slow and feeling this like this huge urge come through my body and questioning that I would ever have the time or resources or energy to bring it to life. And so if you're feeling that strain of like, yeah, I have a massive vision about solving world hunger and I am one person, and how do I have that come to life in my short time here? Just know that there is no rush. Slow and steady wins the race. And it doesn't matter how slow you go as long as you keep going. There's some weeks that you'll only write a note in your journal about it. There'll be some weeks when you're in massive action, flying around the world and having conversations. And there'll be some weeks where you just pray. And so for this first section here about vision, my invitation for you is to give yourself permission to go fully into your vision, fully into that thing that you care most about. Leave behind all of the stress of, okay, how is that going to happen? Or that's too big to come through me. And just know that every single day that you choose to take one step in front of the other, you are making progress towards that vision. So I have actions inside here. For each step, I'm going to give an action. These are just invitations for you to explore more deeply in your own time. And here are some of the things that have really worked for me. A journaling practice. So in the times where I felt the most broken after my fiance surprise broke up with me, after, my mom's in rehab, almost dying in rehab, after many transitions and grief and feelings of deep loneliness and sadness, I felt like there was nothing left in me except for I have a pen and I have a paper and I can write. And that's how 5 books came out of me. And that's how I've been using Facebook as a blogging platform for over 8 years. And everyone's like, you share so much. And I'm like, it's just my natural way of expressing so that it doesn't have to live inside my spirit. And so when you are processing something, when you're going through something, when life feels like it's more than you could possibly handle, you have a very advanced tool at your fingertips called writing and expressing yourself through writing. And that's a gift that we all have. No matter what's been taken from us, we can always write and express our thoughts. And I've had profound awarenesses and feelings of just peace and clarity when it's just me in my journal and me with my own thoughts and me with the channeling of my own spirit. So the invitation, as simple as it may seem, is to write, to give life to your vision, to make it real, to put something on paper, to be with your own thoughts, to be with your own silence of your soul, and to see what comes through. And I want you to do a writing exercise this week in a way that you may have never done before. It's just asking yourself a very simple question. What is it that I care about? What is it that I want to see change on the planet? And who do I need to be to hold that level of bigness of that vision? At the end here, we're going to do a visualization exercise so you can start tapping into this. And I think that'll really help you open up some ideas. So I'm going to leave that to the end. Okay, let's move on to number 2, the second step to creating your soul-aligned business and life: boundaries. I teach this because it was the hardest for me to learn, was to say no to people. So being non-negotiable about your boundaries and owning your no. Building your own clarity by starting to get distance from the noise. So when I started my business, I was always looking at other people, like, what's their formula? How did they do it? Okay, there's like these really cool internet marketing crew. Like, what would it take to be in the cool kids club? Like, I want to do it right. I want to do what they're doing. And no matter how many strategies I tried, somebody else's strategies never worked for my business. And it pissed me off so much, you guys, because I'm like, oh, I just want the Jeff Walker formula to work for me. I just want to like take what's already working and translate it into me. And there are definite themes of business that are universal in work, but it was the place that I was coming from of like, what's over there? Who has the answer? Who's going to give it to me? That was keeping me from my own brilliance. And so my business, I have a high earning business. I've had a high earning business for years, starting in my early 20s. And my business demands my simplicity. It demands my essence. Every marketing strategy, if I'm doing it from a place of like swipe templates and fill in a blank and I'm just going to take other people's ideas, it never works. Never. It's so frustrating. You can tell I just came off of something where I just tried that again. It never quite works for me. So boundaries is knowing that your genius trumps everyone else's. And this is becoming so increasingly challenging because we have so many models to look at and so many flashing signs. Be like, I have the hacks, I have the tools, I have the keys. And that is great. Definitely learn from people and take it in. But at the end of the day, if you don't find your truth, your vision, your conviction, then you're not going to have the energy to sustain your business. So second here is boundaries, knowing what's your yes, knowing what's your no, knowing what you're going to stand for and what you believe in and what you don't. Just going back to the social media realm, it's like the comparison trap is greater than it's ever been. It's easier than it's ever been at the click of a button to scroll through and see what everyone else is doing with their lives. And it's easy. We're doing it so unconsciously to create this story that you are less. And every time you're scrolling and you're seeing somebody's success and it's like always in your face and always loud, it's like, okay, I'll never get there. Or when can I have that? Or what are they doing that I don't know? And you start to believe this story that everybody else knows and you don't, which is insane and actually really damaging. So this is your invitation to know what you know, to be in the silence of your brilliance, to stop looking at everyone else to tell you the answer and come deeply into your knowing and your conviction. The action here is also a writing assignment. What have you been saying yes to when you know your gut wants another direction? So it's really easy to start living a life, the expectations and dreams of other people. It starts with our parents. It starts with our education system. It starts with our culture. And it is up to us to interrupt that pattern, to stand for what we believe in, to make our own rules that are aligned with our truth. And so I want to know what's been happening in your life that you feel like you've gotten a little bit away from your own truth, like dictating your reality. Because if you're not in the driver's seat of your reality, of your life, of your business, somebody else will be. And that is not the place you want to be. You want to be fully embodied in your driver's seat.
I have a question for you, Jolie, around this, because I see the comparison and feeling like we're not moving fast enough, or this sometimes unhealthy driving, and there in comfortability of inaction, or when we start to feel like we've been complacent, or when we know that there's greater untapped potential inside of us. And sometimes having inspiring people around us can kind of stir that and catalyze it. And so I'm just curious how you hold, like, how do you know when to play bigger, when to slow down, when the uncomfortability is actually healthy, like it's a fire that's going to catalyze, or when it's based on judgment, comparison, or self-doubt, thinking that we're not doing a good enough job? You know, there's a sweet spot in there between knowing when to move and when to slow down. And I'm just curious how you guide your clients around that.
Okay, sure. There's a feeling that I get in my body, and there's an anxiousness that like pulses through my core when there's too many strategies and too many directions, when I've let in too much advice and I'm not hearing myself. And I know the first thing when overwhelm comes in and I can't quite see the next step, and I wake up being like, oh, there's too much to do and not enough of me. And I truly believe one of the most primal, fearful places to be as a human is to have a desire to do something and not enough energy to do it. And when I'm in that sensation and that feeling of like freneticness, like there's so much I need to do and there's so much that has to happen right now, and where do I start and where's the first step, and like spinning out, that's when I reel it all back in. I check my relationship with social media. I turn off all of the noise. I stop asking for advice. By the way, I love having coaches. I love taking information. I love learning from other people's brilliance. It's how I've gotten so far so fast. But there's a very healthy boundary there. There's a line that you have to manage for yourself, where you have to be able to hear your truth center stage, leading the show. And that's why I put the second step here is boundaries, because if you don't know where your boundaries are, other people will dictate them for you. All right, let's move to number 3. And this is about refinement. So Charlene and I really loved this step, and she and I were preparing for this conversation, because there's a lot of people that may be watching where you already have your thing going on. You know, you're not looking to start a new business necessarily. You're not like, you haven't been questioning leaving your job. And so I really want to speak to how do we refine the thing that we already have? And this is kind of this phrase, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. I've done this so many times in my business where I'm like, everything's wrong, throw it out. Like something's off, I'm starting from scratch. And it's like, no, I just need to bring some bit of slight intention into it. And so for those of you listening, I'm just trying to feel you guys. For those of you listening, you may be questioning, like, how can I bring more of these soul aligned strategies into what I'm currently doing? And I want to start this off by giving an example. Oprah Winfrey, the queen herself, talk show host here in America. I think many people know that name. So in the 90s, when she was just getting started in her talk show, she hosted a show where KKK came on the show, and she was interviewing them about why they believe that white people are better than dark people in America. And as Oprah remembers it, she completely lost her power to these people that were just trying to make a point. And after the show, she wanted to cancel the Oprah Winfrey show. She said, I will not play a part of the trash TV that is 90s in America. I don't want to be up there with Jerry Springer and all of these super sensationalized, dramatic talk show. So she went back to her producers and she said, if we don't have an intention before we go into every show, I'm not doing this show. And from that day forward, every single time they had a guest, every single time they had any idea for a show, they were put through a process of, what is my intention? And the intention is the thing that refines and creates the entire experience. And she looks back on her decades of being number one show in America, and she says, we always had an intention. It was so potent. It was so powerful. People could feel the message. There was so much humanity, because we weren't just bringing up drama to bring up drama. We weren't just talking about with a mother whose son had been killed for no reason. We were talking about the humanness and exploring grief. And the people on the other end of that could feel it. So refinement, another word for refinement is purification. And so where is there room for purifying what it is that you're already doing? So some ways you can do that is resetting an intention, resetting your focus, asking yourself, why am I doing what I'm doing every single day? What do I care about? Who am I being with the people around me? I like who I'm being when I'm around my team, or who I am in my business, or who I am with my clients. Am I generous with my spirit and integrity with my words? Am I showing up to the best of my capacity? And so this is an invitation to look at purity and refinement through the lens of intention, and really taking a step back to ask yourself, what is it that I want here? If I was being fully present, fully intentional, how would I create this situation? It is far too easy to get stuck in a rut and like, this is just the way things have always been, and this is the way that I show up, and this is the way that my business is run, and this is who my team members at work know me to be. But this is your opportunity back to that vision of, what is it that I care about? What is my unique genius built into my genes and my DNA? What did my story craft to be my calling? What did my life experience bring up inside of me that I care so deeply on the planet? And how can I bring that intention into everything that I do? How can I upgrade the way that I view each day, not as just another day passing by, but as a huge opportunity to shift something? So here's the action in this. The action is to come back to a place of quiet. So if there's a lot of noise around us and we can't quite see the intention, and things feel like they're just creating themselves, we need to come back to a space where we can actually hear. So the invitation is to be by yourself for 30 minutes, to go into nature, to be alone, to go far from your current routine, to find a new park or a new place of nature, somewhere you've never been before, to meditate, to quiet your thoughts, to quiet your entire nervous system, and to think critically about your business and your life. Allow nature to support your answers coming through. So it can be really challenging to stop and be intentional when there's just so much data and so much life coming at us full force. So the action and the invitation is to make a nature date with yourself and let your own inner voice and your own intention come through. That is the only way I know of to really sense and be with the quietness of your own thoughts, is to take yourself out of your normal routine and go into that space of quietness so you can actually hear yourself. So that's the action, the invitation for this step. Okay, the last one here, mentor and receive mentorship. So the fourth step to creating a soul-aligned business is to mentor and receive mentorship. So this is about leveraging the experience of others and passing it on generously. So my mentors, the people that showed up in my life, were people that accelerated my path. I call it timeline hopping. Like there was me in a trajectory going along my timeline, and I just like jumped the timeline in my consciousness, in my success, in my money-making ability. And there was a few key mentors where I will, until the day I die, I will never stop crediting them. And I think that we don't hear it enough to seek mentors, and we don't really know what it means to seek mentors. And so the first thing I would ask you, if you're seeking a mentor, and to encourage you to seek a mentor, even if that's just like the first step of taking somebody on a tea date and getting in their world and getting curious, is to be the type of person that somebody wants to mentor. There's a really, really famous marketer here in America called Gary Vaynerchuk, and I've heard him speak multiple times. And every time he gets on stage, people are like, "Will you mentor me? Will you mentor me?" And like, there's such a desire to have him. And he's like, "I'm mentoring you every day with all of these videos and everything that I put out." And so to be somebody that somebody wants to mentor is like somebody in your life that's maybe just a few connections away that you deeply admire and respect, and coming at it not from a place of, "Hey, can I pick your brain and what can I get?" It's like, "Hey, this is my vision. This is what I care about. I'm up to this thing called working on global poverty and alleviating poverty. And can I get your thoughts on this? I just really respect your ideas and your brilliance, and I would love to take you to tea and get your thoughts on this thing." I mean, who's going to say no to that unless they really like have a time restriction? And so I want to invite you to start leveraging the people around you, whether it's somebody in your community, whether it's somebody that you can reach out to online, whether it's that favorite author, send them an email, make a connection, put yourself out there to receive guidance, and have them really feel your mission. That's your best possible chance at getting a mentor that you really look up to, is that they feel what you're up to and they're on board with what they're up to. And then give mentorship. So one of the most rewarding things I've done in my life is mentor a young woman. We got connected through a program called the Big Brothers Big Sisters. So I'm like her big sister, and I helped her get into college. And I can personally see the way I massively changed the trajectory of this woman's life. Her grandfather had been in prison. He died in prison for his 10-year sexual assault on her. She was diagnosed bipolar, ADHD, PTSD, like all of the emotional chemical things. And I always looked at her as a whole person. I always saw her wholeness. I always saw her bigness. And mentoring her made me feel like a core of usefulness that I still have never been trumped to this date. And so find somebody where life has maybe had them believe that they're broken, that they're less than. And can you find their brilliance and bring their brilliance online? If you're able to do that and just slowly work with them and slowly see what they're capable of, you will experience a version of yourself that is just completely unparalleled. So this fourth step, find a mentor and give mentorship. We're in this, give and receive of life. The more that you're giving, that's going to come back to you. The joy on my face when she texts me that she got into college, and not only did she got into college, but she got this financial aid and was able to get herself a computer and is studying. And we went to personal development classes together called Landmark, and I made her shoot videos so we could do a Kickstarter campaign to raise the money. And if we all took on somebody in our community, in our life like that, the world would just accelerate. So those are my 4 steps to building a soul-aligned business. We have build your vision, own your boundaries, refine and purify with intention, and mentor and receive mentorship.
I just want to add something on mentorship. One of my mentors once told me that the most successful mentee mentorship roles that he had had were ones where he received just as much from the mentee. And so that may look many different ways. It could look like them actually learning from you, but I want to underline the fact that you said really lead with your vision and your mission, because if the mentor feels like they are directly impacting that greater mission, so not just you, but they actually have a greater impact in the world through you, that's going to inspire them to be available. So it comes back to the importance of the vision, right? And really clarify what we care about, so that when we reach out to a mentor, a potential mentor, they feel inspired by what we care about and want to work on that vision through us.
Yes. Thank you. How are you doing with time?
We have 15 minutes.
Okay.
And so we can just go to the vision. We'll just take a couple minutes at the end. So we can go a couple minutes over, but if you could finish the visioning process shortly before 12, 13 minutes, that would be great. And we'll just close it after that. We'll do a very brief close after your vision.
Okay, great. I'm going to take you guys through an 8-minute visualization. So I'm trained in a few different bodies of work, but I really love how using visualization and meditation can get us into our bodies, into our parasympathetic nervous system of rest and digest, so we can get answers from our own inner guidance, and we can start to feel this place of being soul aligned. So if you would join me in this, we're going to go into a meditative space with our eyes closed. So we're going to begin by closing our eyes, bringing our spine to be as straight as possible, and just start to come into your breath, giving yourself the most generous inhale you've given yourself all day. When you exhale, let something go. As you inhale, start to feel your own essence fill up your body. What does it feel like to be you in this moment? I invite you to start scanning your body. What does your head feel like? What's the quality of the vibration? How's your heart today? Does it feel open or closed, anxious or calm? Our breath tells our parasympathetic nervous system to relax our senses, to go within, to slow the chaos of the mind, and just to be with the experience of the moment, of the right now. Letting your mind come into a place of relaxation. Your breath is the cue inward. Take a moment to follow me into this visualization. And I want you, in your mind's eye, to see a version of you standing in front of you. This version of you is 10 years out into the future if you are in massive action around your vision. Who is the version of you 10 years from now when you've showed up for your purpose, when you've taken care of your body, when you've been in touch with your care for humanity, when you've taken massive action, received support and resources and money to fulfill your highest mission? Take a moment just to get to know this version of you. What do they look like? What is the story that their eyes tell? What is the story that their smile tells? How about their posture, their energy? I want you to ask this version of you if they have any advice for you right now. If I'm trying to get this highest version of me in 10 years, playing full out, fully expressed and fully embodied, what do I need to do right now? Take a moment to just receive that answer. Ask them, what steps do I need to take? How do I need to be with my own mind and my emotions? As you sense this version of you, I want you to start feeling all of the impact that this version of you has had on your community, on your family, on the world. Start to get a sense, let your body feel and sense the impact of your actions. Just notice what that does to your body and your energy when you feel the impact of your actions. I want you to start to sense and start filling in a picture from this 10-year timeline of the things that you will have accomplished. What is it that you care most about? Will it be writing or speaking, leading others, your generosity, your courage, your willingness to show up in the face of any circumstance, your grit, your perseverance, your power? It's the way that you treat yourself in the quiet moments that matters. Is it the first thoughts that you think to yourself when you wake up that matters? Starting to tune into a vision of your own creations. How is your own soul alignment being brought to the planet? Feel yourself expand with this vision. Feel yourself reclaim a dream, maybe some part of you that's been lost. Feel yourself know that it is possible, that because you have the desire and the vision, that it is so possible for you to have, to bring forth. That it's your particular genius that this planet needs most, in your family, in your local community, in your life, in the world. Feel that you matter, your voice matters, your intelligence matters, your spirit matters. Just notice how your body feels when I speak truth to you. The truth will always make you feel light and expansive. It'll give space in your chest. It'll give breath to your body. To invite some space in with generous breath. Fill your body completely with oxygen. As you exhale, letting something go, the fear, the doubt, the concern, the pressure. Coming back to your body now, feeling breath fill up your entire vessel, feeling your heart full of possibility, and set an intention for yourself of the way that you're going to be after this call, Who are you going to be today and in your life? Claim that intention, own it right now in this moment. When you feel ready, coming back to your space, bringing some movement into your body, and blinking your eyes open when you're ready. Thank you for going there with me. Feels so good to feel all of you. You have no idea. Every single one of you.
Thank you for that guided meditation, Jolie. It's such a gift we can give ourselves in the day. You know, within that, there was such a simple practice that can completely change our state, which is to take a deep inhale in and exhale stress, or just release something in the exhale. And it's so simple, and it can be a profound way to center ourselves during the day, to prepare for a big meeting, to prepare to pitch an investor or whatever it is. Or when you go on your nature date and you're thinking about all your to-dos still, to just take those deep breaths and exhale the to-dos. And you also shared something that is another very simple practice, but can be profound, which is, how do you wake up? What's on your mind when you wake up? Something that can be great is to think about how we're grateful. It can be so easy to wake up and start thinking about all the to-dos of the day and the busyness, especially if you're a parent or you run your own business. But to just take a few deep breaths in bed and think about what we're grateful for, make a commitment of how we're going to show up and who we're going to be, think about our intention before we even get out of bed, can completely set the pace of the day. So just within your guided meditation, you gave some really valuable practices that can really enhance our life. So thank you for that. I just wanted to make sure that those were acknowledged.
I'm touched. I feel all of you so much. I'm probably going to cry after this call, holding it together. I just feel your hearts. I just feel like what we can do when we come together in community like this, like what Hive is building and what you guys are saying yes to. It's just, it is what humanity needs most right now, is good strategy, and coming here and learning and having a strategy for the way that we live and the way that we breathe and the way that we do life.
Yeah. I have one question before we close this, which is, oftentimes our vision for the world and what we care about feels so big. And some of us are already working towards, like, in alignment with the thing that we most care about. But the idea of like ending poverty or making education available to all children, or whatever it is, a lot of these climate change, they feel so big that sometimes it has us not even start because we don't know where to start. And so how do you encourage people start? Like, how do we move in the direction of that thing, that vision for the world, when it does feel so much bigger than us?
Forget who said this quote. I think it's someone like Abraham Lincoln or something, but you don't have to see the whole staircase to take the first step. And so today, the first step may just be writing. Your first step could have been just coming on this call. It could be having a conversation with your most enlightened friend that just gets you and gets it. And the quote in the beginning, doesn't matter how slow you're going as long as you're in motion. There's been times when I was like crawling in my business. Like I'm so defeated. Like that just like humbled me so much that like the only thing I can do today is just like sort of think about what's next and lay in bed. And so as long as we continue to just stay the path and to keep the intention of like, I'm in this for life, because what else am I doing?
That's a beautiful way to end. All in for all life, just one step at a time. And oftentimes we can only see the next step. It's amazing when we can see multiple steps ahead of us. That feels great when we can have a clear path and a plan. And true courage is being able to take the next step even when we can't see the step that follows that. So thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom and your love, your heart with us. It's been so good to be with you all. Thank you for tuning in from all around the world. And for those of you who will watch the replay, you're here with us. Thank you for tuning in when you're able. And it's such a gift. The greatest resource of all is community, is family. And so beyond traditional success and money and our impact in the world, when we have each other and we can feel connected, then that is the most valuable thing. So thank you for being here and being part of this community. You really make a difference, and it matters that you're here. Every single being that comes into the Hive network and community brings something special that influences the system. So that we're so grateful, and I've been so honored to get to host this call with you. Thank you, Ryan, Brian, for helping make sure that everything ran smoothly, and for Joseph, Timothy, Alana, Daniel, for everyone who's here from all around the world. I love you, and I'm grateful for you. Have a beautiful day or evening.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye, guys.